You know what I find funny? Every 10 years or so, somebody completely flips the table on everything you thought you knew. Fat was killing you, and then all of a sudden, fat was saving you. Coffee was going to put you in the ground early, and then the same people turned around and said, no, 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 coffee is actually good for you. Eggs were basically poison for a while there. Then somebody else came along and said, eggs are the whole answer. And the real kicker, in the very same year, I'm watching one expert on television saying cut out meat entirely, and another one right after him saying eat more of it. They could not get their stories straight, not even close. And while all those people were standing around arguing with each other, I just kept on living my life. Never once sat down with a pen in my hand and decided I was going to follow some expert from start to finish. Not a single one. And I'm here, 102 years old. I did not get to this point because of anything I read in a health book, and I sure didn't learn it sitting in a classroom somewhere. Those people had their fancy degrees, their thick books, their television shows, and I got my years. Only one of us is still sitting here talking to you. I could look you dead in the eye right now and say, here it is, eat this exact thing and you'll blow right past 100. You could pull out your phone, take notes, walk out of here feeling like you finally cracked the code. But I'm not going to do that to you. I wouldn't do that to anybody. What I'm going to do instead is try to help you find the leak. The one you already know is there, but keep walking right past. I'm Robert. I spent more than 40 years as a plumber, and if there's one thing 40 years in the pipes teaches you, it's this. A small leak that gets ignored doesn't stay small. You won't even notice it for months, and one morning you come downstairs and the whole ceiling is on the floor. While everybody else was writing books about the right way to live, I was out there in the cold fixing other people's broken systems with my hands. I didn't have my own doctor until I was 71 years old. Never owned a scale in my life. You could hand me every dollar in the world, and I still couldn't tell you what a calorie actually is. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've got the secret answer that all those experts somehow missed over all those years. I don't have that. What I've got is something a whole lot simpler than that. I've got 102 years of mornings and a handful of things I noticed along the way. Not in any laboratory, not in any book. I picked them up just by living right here inside this life. I grew up in Pennsylvania. We didn't have money lying around for doctors or specialists or anything like that, so nobody was around to sit us down and tell us what to be scared of. We ate whatever was sitting on the table, bread, potatoes, whatever my mother had put together that day. Nobody in that house was counting a single thing. You ate, you worked hard, you slept, you got up and did it again. That was the whole system. No expert needed. Sometime around my mid-30s, a man outside a grocery store handed me a pamphlet, told me the fat in my diet was going to close up my arteries before I ever made it to 50. I was curious enough to read it on the bus ride home. Then I tossed it in my toolbox and forgot completely about it. 12 years later, I found it again, buried underneath a wrench. And by that point, the man who wrote it had already changed his own position 2 times over. This is the 1960s I'm talking about, and they have been changing their position every single decade right up to today. And every single time they flip it, there's a new book to sell you, a new segment on the evening news, a brand new thing you've apparently been doing wrong your entire life. I stopped reading those pamphlets, and I kept showing up to work. I worked right alongside my friend Frank for close to 20 years on those same streets, and Frank is really the reason I'm sitting here telling you any of this. There were stretches of time I was seeing Frank more than I was seeing my own wife Dorothy. Frank was all in on the expert thing. He read every article, every new study that came out. When they put out the word about cutting fat and red meat, Frank had both of them completely off his plate by the end of that same week.
He was tracking his sodium, counting every calorie. He had his cholesterol number memorized. I don't remember it exactly now, but I think it was something like 187. He used to say it like he was proud of it. He walked every single morning without missing a day. Rain, snow, it didn't matter. The most disciplined man I've ever been around in my life. He told me once, he said, "Robert, the way you eat, you are not going to make it to 65. I was sitting there eating a ham sandwich while he said it, and he said it with real concern in his voice, like he was genuinely sorry about what was going to happen to me. I didn't say a word back to him. I just kept on eating my sandwich. Frank left us when he was 67. His heart quit with no warning at all. Just like that, he was gone. I was 70 years old, standing at his funeral, the ham sandwich man still standing, and I remembered the thought that came over me, not for the first time, but this time it was louder and it was clearer. Something in here does not add up. There's a pipe running somewhere that doesn't go where the blueprint says it's supposed to. The experts had been studying life from the outside looking in this whole time. I had been living it from the inside out. And let me tell you something, there's a real and serious difference between those two things.
I've watched a lot of people live long lives. I've also watched plenty of people who tracked every single bite, watched everything they put in their bodies, and still went suddenly and without warning. I have seen a lot of people go over the course of 102 years, and I paid close attention to how they went. And I can tell you, it could not have all come down to the diet that some expert recommended. After watching all of that, I started paying attention in a different way, not to what people were eating, but to where the actual difference was showing up. The real problem was not the diet. It was not the extra weight. Every single one of them had a leak somewhere. Frank was afraid his entire life, afraid of a wrong number on a piece of paper, afraid of the wrong food ending up on his plate. He spent 22 years being so incredibly careful about every single detail of how he was living that he never quite got around to actually living. I don't say that to take anything away from him. I say it because I watched it happen right in front of me in real time, and I did not see it clearly until after he was already gone. And then I turned around and looked at myself. I had my own leak, too. Had it for years. That became obvious to me. The kind of leak you walk right past every single morning, and you tell yourself you'll deal with it soon. Then soon becomes a year. A year turns into 10. Dorothy used to say, "Robert, you need to go get your blood work done. You are not a young man anymore. We have got to keep an eye on things." I had not been to a real doctor in 14 years before Dorothy finally got me to go. I was 85 years old at that point. She did not ask me nicely about it. She made the appointment herself, wrote the address down on a little piece of paper, and left it sitting on my chair. And that was the end of that discussion. The doctor was a young guy, maybe around 40, one of those men who looked like he'd spent his whole entire life with his nose in a book and felt real good about it. He ran the whole thing, blood pressure, cholesterol, heart, the complete picture. I'm sitting there in that thin paper gown, feeling like a sick old man, while he's going through his clipboard. He went quiet for a little while, and he looked up at me. "Mr. Robert," he said, "these numbers right here, how are you doing this?" I didn't understand what he was actually asking at first. "Doing what?" I said. He said, "These are not the numbers of an 85-year-old man." I told him I didn't really know what to say to that. He asked what I was eating. I told him, though I'll admit I left a few things out. I was still eating sausage and ham pretty regularly, and I didn't bring that up because I had no interest in sitting through the warnings about it. He asked what supplements I was taking. "None," I told him. Then he asked about my exercise routine. I told him I walk when I feel like walking, and I stop when I don't. He was writing faster and faster, like he was trying to catch something before it slipped away from him. And then he leaned forward and asked me something that nobody, not a single person in my entire life had ever asked me before.
Everybody always wanted to know about the food and the sleep, but he said, "What is it? What is the actual thing?" And I sat there in that flimsy paper gown, 85 years old, and I realized I did not have a clean answer sitting ready for him. But there was one more thing that came to me a little later, something I had not said out loud to that doctor, something I had never really said out loud to anybody. I never once fought my own body, not one single time in 102 years. I never punished it for wanting something. I never made myself follow a rule that felt like it was punishing me. When every expert in the entire country was screaming that fat was the enemy, I looked at my own body and thought, this body is working just fine right now. Why in the world will I go to war against something that is not broken? Those experts were trying to fix people who had already gone wrong somewhere. I was just trying hard not to break what was still working. Those are two completely different things. And I know some of you watching this are out there fighting your own body right now, even when you're perfectly fine as you are, trying to make it better, trying to optimize it, just like Frank spent his whole life doing. I watched Frank count every single calorie, measure every portion down to the last gram, walk his exact 30 minutes out in January ice. And I always had this feeling watching him, this man is white-knuckling his way through his own life. He is not living it, he is gripping it. Discipline that grows out of fear is not real discipline at all. It's just an argument with yourself that you can never actually win. And your body hears that argument every single day. Your body responds to it whether you realize it or not. Frank's real weakness was never his cholesterol number. His real weakness was 22 years of being afraid. I was never afraid. Not of food, not of my own body, not of any number written on any piece of paper. I fixed what was broken when it actually broke. I did not spend my whole life ripping out pipes that were still doing their job just fine. Last month, my neighbor's grandson knocked on my door. A young journalist, serious-looking kid, came with a whole notebook and a recorder and everything. Sat right where you'd be sitting if you were here. He asked me about my diet and my sleep habits. I told him what he wanted to know. Then he asked what advice I'd give to somebody who genuinely wanted to live past 100. And I told him, a little sharper than he was probably expecting, stop asking people like me for advice. He laughed, thought I was being funny. I was not. Every decade, without fail, he said some brand new expert is going to come along and tell you the last one had it all wrong. And here's the thing, they will be right about that, and then they will be wrong too. That is the pattern. I have watched that exact pattern play out my entire life, not for 20 years, not for 50, for 102 years straight. Write that down, I told him. He did. He closed his notebook up, grabbed his things, and headed for the door. Right at the door, he stopped and turned back and said, "One last thing. Do you ever worry about how much time you've got left?" "Son," I said, "I've been fixing broken pipes for other people since I was 16 years old, and in all that time I have never once seen anybody lose sleep over a pipe that was not leaking yet. I eat real food, I take easy walks when I feel like walking, and most importantly, I do not follow anybody's list. I do not go to war with my own body. I stop spending my energy on arguments that get completely rewritten every 10 years by people who will never once have to live with the results of what they are saying. Now here's the leak I keep talking about. Maybe for you it has got nothing to do with food at all. Maybe it's a doctor's appointment you've been putting off for 2 years now, and you keep telling yourself you'll get around to it. Maybe it's the real reason you open your eyes every single morning, already worn out before the day has even started. Maybe it's the thing you keep telling yourself and everybody else is fine. You know exactly what it is. You have walked right past it 100 mornings in a row and kept right on going. I cannot tell you what your leak is. That is not something I can do for you. But I will tell you this. It is not on any list any expert has ever made. It never was. The pipe that is actually draining you is almost never the one they're pointing at. find it, fix it before the ceiling comes all the way down on you.